This is unbelievable. This woman who hosts this morning show on NBC with her husband, who's a former Republican. Her dad was, had a big job in government. You guys know who I'm talking about, Mika. Anyway, she takes the stuff so seriously, and not that she shouldn't. I mean, we all take it seriously, but I think the only time I ever cried on air was actually when I was watching all of those people like hanging onto the plane trying to leave Afghanistan. When we were pulling out of Afghanistan and like everybody was just left behind, that was the time that I cried. We lost 13 members of our armed services. That's the kind of thing will get me. But in this case, this particular anchor, one Mika Brzezinski on NBC News, started to cry at the idea that Donald Trump might win again because she just doesn't understand how these polls keep coming out in favor of Trump or even tied for Trump. As I was showing you, NBC News' own poll came out in a three-way race, right? Having that third-party candidate a point ahead for Donald Trump, but then tied. If you don't have the third-party candidate, Mika cannot understand this. Take a look at this. We're going to watch this together.
So that's the thing, is this morning and also all week, we've been talking about the frustration among a lot of Democrats that maybe the message isn't breaking through to key voters. I mean, the polls seem so close every time a new one comes out. Neck and neck. And there's this fear that Donald Trump is poised for victory. Yeah. I think it's fair for Democrats to be incredibly depressed. I think it's fair for them to be discouraged. I think it's fair for them to explore whether Kamala Harris should be doing more. Feel free to do that. These things are all legitimate. I don't know what more she can do, especially given what happened, though, in 2016. Because that was a trauma for anybody who...
A trauma? Okay, wait for it. All right, she's going to go on. It was a trauma. A trauma in 2016.
Loves this country, and a trauma that didn't end that day. Obviously, Democrats want to make up for lost time, as Kamala Harris has just days left to truly introduce herself to the American people. At the same time, it could be argued she's doing everything possible. Rallies with tens of thousands of people, talk shows, radio, late night TV, podcasts, town halls are next. You can't claim she's not doing town halls. She wants to debate. She's hitting the battleground states multiple times. She's sending her top surrogates out on the road for a 4-week blitz through swing states, including former Presidents Barack Obama and Bill Clinton, encouraging and winning over Republicans, including Liz Cheney, top military brass, top economic leaders, even members of Trump's own administration, trying to tell Americans that she is for them, the rule of law, the Constitution, that she's not a felon like her opponent, that she's not a con artist like her opponent, that she's not an adjudicated sexual abuser like her opponent, that she's not a person who devalues the truth like her opponent, that she's an honest broker who will do her best at this time of peril for the country. Obviously, Democrats want to leave no stone unturned, and the Democratic National Committee even has this new ad about the danger of the undervote or those who may vote for Jill Stein. Just 3% of the vote. Take a look.
Jill Stein, Green Party candidate for president. So why are Trump's close allies helping her? Stein was key to Trump's 2016 wins in battleground states.
Okay, blah, 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 blah. I mean, you get the point here? Like, she's literally freaking out. I thought she was going to start crying. I really did. And you know what else, guys? What's amazing is that it was all scripted. You know how I know it was scripted? Because, by the way, I've been in this industry 20 years, and I can tell by the timing. So you have the director, as soon as she says, rallies, Kamala's doing rallies, boom, the rally video comes up. And then she says, oh, she's doing all these talk shows, boom, the talk show video comes up. It's just, it's so, it goes on for like 4 whole minutes. So she's kind of freaking out at the idea that Donald Trump would win because she's depressed and she can't be traumatized all over again. I mean, this is nuts. And by the way, this is part of the problem. This is part of the problem. You're getting innocent people at home all worked up for no reason, right? They're going to start crying, lamenting. And you know what is pretty scary? I mean, we had now a third potential, it's kind of conflicted the information we're getting on that situation out of Coachella, but the idea that Donald Trump is under threat is a real idea, okay? He's gotten intel, specific intel that the FBI's had to provide on what Iran wants to do. We've seen the video of what Iran wants to do. I mean, this is not good stuff. So there are real threats out there. And you'd think that the media, like this gal, would try and lower the temperature, maybe just a little bit. Let's have a more intellectual approach and conversation about this stuff. But she can't. She can't. Because you know what? Their candidate's losing bad. Like really, really badly. And I knew this would happen. You know what? You can't do this to the American people. The American people deserved, Democrats deserved to be able to pick their candidate. I was telling you 3 years ago to get rid of Joey, that he was too, unfortunately, and I'm not an ageist. Age is just a number. Trust me. I'm living proof of it, right? I mean, it's just a number. But he's old for his age. And he's declined significantly. And so I said 3 years ago, you can't run this guy. Policies aside, he's not with it enough. And they had an opportunity to try and primary him. They could have gotten their whippersnapper Gavin Newsom or somebody else in there. Somebody who had a fighting chance, but they didn't. They actually stuck with Joe. And then they tried to slide her in there. And I'll tell you can't pull the wool over the eyes of the American public. They're not having it. And they knew exactly what their life would be like if Kamala Harris were to continue, if she just kept everything the same. I mean, frankly, I think she'd make it even worse because I think she's bordering on a full-on communist. We're going to get to that. She's got some choice words to say. By the way, happy Columbus Day. Choice words to say about Columbus Day, and I'm going to play you that sound. But given who she is, what she represents, if nothing else, it's more the same, ladies and gentlemen. She even said she wouldn't do anything differently. So how the heck do you think this candidate's going to win? I'm not surprised at all. I'm surprised it's as tight as it is. I mean, that's why I keep going back to Polymarket, because Polymarket actually looks more realistic. 54 to 45% chance of him winning the Electoral College. That makes more sense to me. The whole idea that it would even be tight, frankly, I think is really, really very much a disadvantage to Kamala Harris, because a lot of Republicans don't actually want to say who they're voting for.